Starring Drew Harrison and Will Abeles.
Welcome back to another episode of My Funny Friends. I am one half of your hosting duo, Drew Harrison. I'm joined, as always, by my lovely co-host, Mr. Will Abeles. Will, how you doing, buddy?
Oh man, how much time do we have?
Not a lot. Give us the condensed version.
Okay, so first hour, I'll take the first hour. Second hour will be about our guest.
Okay.
No, all right. Just went to the gym. Got my head straight for the podcast.
Okay.
Boxing helps. I don't care how silly I probably look. I don't know if you've ever driven by my gym in East Nashville, but they have like a courtyard, and guys literally take their shirts off and just work out in the courtyard like it's prison. And then my skinny ass is there like borrowing Brandon's boxing gloves and just being like, I guess this is how you box. And then I go to lift stuff and I'm just cracking it because the guy next to me has got like 4 plates on, and I'm like, and I got 225s. Bench press, baby.
Are you telling us you've been going to Saturday jail? Is that what you've been doing?
I've been going
serving weekend jail.
I'm not far off, man. I need to get it together. But I'm good.
Oh, well, awesome. Well, speaking of get it together, man, and introduce our amazing guest this week.
Me?
Yeah. This is your specialty. This is where you shine.
Well, thank you.
I hope our guest is beaming with confidence now that he was like me.
It's gonna be a hot one. Well, our guest, we met originally on Zoom via Dewey Comedy, I believe. I don't think it was one of my own. I think Kaylee set that one up. But she's absolutely just crushing it in Nashville right now, and we're so excited to get her comedy journey. Amber Autry, everybody.
Hi.
Hello, Amber.
Quick cue. What gym do you go to, Will?
Well, they're huge fans of the podcast.
It's like community outreach, scared straight.
No, it's gym 5. Actually, a couple comics go there. A couple of Nashville comics go there.
The really cool one.
Yeah, like when you do the Crazy Gnome show, then you can like look in and watch.
That's where we're at.
I went to
now.
that gym.
Yeah. That's where
Is this the next step past CrossFit? Like CrossFit, like just lifting heavy stuff wasn't enough. Now we got to do prison yard workouts.
Yeah.
That's where we're at.
Well, I think most of the people that go there, I have a feeling, have a background in CrossFit just based on some of the equipment. And I am definitely like, I'll get there and there'll be like a very specific group of guys, and I'm done, and they're not even halfway through their routine. It's
there was a lot of filming going on, which was cool. When I was there, they were like filming each other working out, and I was like,
hell yeah, you got to watch the tape the next day, or else what's it worth? You know what I mean?
I might have told this story in the podcast before, but one of my first days there, I was doing calf raises. Like I was just sitting there like doing like little up down calf raises, and the biggest man you've ever seen just stood in front of me, took his shirt off, set his phone up, and just took a picture of himself. And so you just have me in the background doing calf exercises and this giant shirtless man. And I was watching. And I was like, end results right there.
I like that confidence. I like people who video themselves in public, take selfies. Like, I really do. I love Kim Kardashian. I'll say it.
Oh,
okay.
It's going to be a Kim Kardashian.
Okay.
Kardashians are going to sneak in. I knew it.
Yeah.
I
did CrossFit for a little bit because I was like, I used to, do sports. Let me do CrossFit, like.
That's funny. Yeah, you never gave me that like kind of like want to join a cult kind of personality.
Well, I realized, I realized that yes, it was a cult, and B, I would just cheat. You know what I mean? Like they would tell you to do the exercises instead of doing 10 pull-ups. I'm gonna give you 4 and then move on. You know what I mean?
So what happened?
With the band assistant, like, because no one calls you out. So like you write your time down, and I'll just be like, "Done, son," and they'd be like, "Okay." And no one would say anything. And then finally, after I was like, I'm not really working out. Like I'm coming up here to like play on their equipment for 15 minutes and then go home thinking I accomplished something.
After a while, how long did you cheat at working out? Because that's a freaking commitment in itself, dude.
It made me, I guess I was just getting the mental placebo of working out. Like, don't get me wrong, there were some days where I was like, okay, I'm about to die. But I mean, it was on the warm up. It wasn't on the actual like workout. But I did it for like 2 months.
Positive.
I mean, they just didn't care because I wasn't military, so they didn't care about me.
Right.
B, I was on like the lowest membership you could be at, and they were just like, "Yeah, man, if you want to come dick around for a little bit, we'll take."
You show up halfway through the class, they don't even care.
Yeah, they're like, whatever.
Wait, is CrossFit heavily intertwined with the military?
Oh yeah, big time. Especially where I was from. Will got to experience that awkwardness of walking into the military bar that was next door, where everyone just stares at you if you're not obviously military.
Yikes.
And just something about me, you can just tell.
Yeah. I at least look like an old haggard, like Navy medic or something. You know what I mean? Like I've seen some shit.
So the government is trying to control everybody's body, even men. At CrossFit, they're involved in everything.
See?
Oh wow!
Look at this.
Good leap. That was a good leap.
Oh wow!
I was
there for the ride.
I was like, where's she going with this?
And speaking of abortion,
yeah, let's get straight into that.
Yeah. All right. Well, Amber, we always like to kick off with what year and where did you start stand-up comedy?
Stand-up. Okay, yeah. So stand-up, I started 2016, 2017. One of those. I started in Chicago. Yeah, I had always like thought about it. I met this dude in a subway who was playing a guitar, and
solid.
Yeah, it's a very like 90s.
So you had like a comedy guru, you know, like a spiritual leader that you had to follow.
Yeah. I was like, dude, you sound so good. And he's like, oh, I actually have an open mic. You should come perform. And I was like, well, fuck, I guess this is the time. This is the moment.
Nice. Do you stay in touch with him?
No, I have no idea where he is.
That's how he wanted it to be.
So around this time, who are you starting out with in Chicago?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's huge. It's a huge scene. So I guess it's because when we have guests on from a smaller scene, it'll be like interesting. Like New York, they'll be like, well, there was this person or this person quit, and yeah.
Is New York a small scene?
Yeah, no. I just blended two thoughts and didn't articulate any of it.
No comma in there at all.
There's no period. Start second sentence. I just the first half of that sentence and the second half of this sentence, and I merged them together.
But it doesn't. Isn't that fitting? Isn't Will just like the human embodiment of like a run-on sentence?
Oh God, yeah. Oh my God, yeah. You should see the way I write. Like,
I don't know.
This is why I just like I
I've stayed at your place. I've read your journals.
Oh, all of them.
Yeah.
That's really why we brought you on here. Like a look behind the curtain of Will.
I mean, honestly, he has no secrets. It was everything he's already told everyone.
Yeah, there's
it was a secret, and then he was like, "How do I make this funny, though?"
Yeah.
How do I make it raw? And relatable. But yes, sorry. So were you starting out with anyone that you're still like in touch with and you still see, or
yeah,
was it just
definitely.
like a crop that
I think they started around the same time I did, whether that's the case or we just bonded when I started. But Jessica Misra from Iowa. I don't know if she's been to Nashville. And also Maddie Weiner I think she started before me.
She's a North Carolina comic.
Oh my gosh. I just remember starting and being like, what are they breeding in North Carolina that makes every single comic this good? Maddie Weiner, Eric Emerson, Kenyon Adamczyk, like all of them are just solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they started before me, but I remember just looking at them like,
I want to do what you do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's fun. Cool. So what'd you do? Just start hitting the open mics, and like, what were you talking about when you were starting out?
I love
yeah, you're very confident and personable on stage.
Yeah.
So were you just like that from the beginning, or were you just that something developed over time?
Honestly, I was good from the start, dude. I know that sounds like a joke, but I really obviously I've grown and can grow more, but I went to school for theater, so I already was used to the stage. I was like used to performing in front of people. And what I was talking about in the beginning was just like family, pretty like honestly, some jokes from the beginning I stopped using like only like a year or so ago. So
oh, really?
But I think that's with everybody. Like you could go back to your old jokes and be like, hey, this is pretty good. I can just make it better.
You can twist it. Yeah. Like this is what it was missing. I couldn't see it before.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. One of my favorite jokes I still tell, and I need to retire it, but I still tell it. Like I wrote it when I was 21, and I thought it was so funny back then, and it just never worked. It never worked. And then I turned 30, and the same experience happened to me, and I was like, well, I can try this joke again, and now it's like one of my favorites. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
We all know you live like a 21-year-old.
My credit card companies know it. My parents know it.
Did you guys ever like drop a joke before it got on an album or something you recorded just because you were sick of telling it?
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a few things, and then like I had a weird thing where a lot of the jokes from my first album were actually developed better afterwards.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I hate.
So I'm like, I have half a mind to just take both albums off and be like, no, I've never done an album before.
What are you talking about?
I mean, can't you still use those jokes? Who makes the rules?
Yeah, I mean, I still do the jokes, but I mean, my album hadn't come out yet, so but I'm sick of them. So I know by the time the album comes out, I hope that I have something else to tell instead of it, because I was telling them the other night and just in my head, like, man, I hate telling this joke.
Yeah.
Well,
in the case of you, Will, though, like that thing where you're like, oh man, now this joke is more developed, even though I've already said it on an album. I mean, who makes those rules? Can't you just like tell them more?
And like, I actually had a couple conversations with some comics I really respect about it, because the second album was
fuck us.
Yeah, not a different time and place, you know.
I saw you two and I walked right past. I said, I'm going to talk to strangers.
People actually respect about it.
But because the second album was a Zoom album, and it was sort of like I'm forced to do this sort of thing out of the pandemic, I asked like Anthony DeVito, I was like, do you think I can just do this live since I never got to do it live? He's like, yeah, there's no like rules. And also I look at the streams and I'm like, all right, it's going to be pretty rare that there's, you know, I mean, I'm still pretty small market. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like there's definitely people that would go, oh, I've heard that before. And it's happening in Nashville. So I do try and switch it up in Nashville, but I don't think there's anyone going to come up and be like, oh, dude, I love this last album, and I'm so upset that you just did it a second time.
Right. Because like people go and will like request jokes and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So I just like, I filmed the Dry Bar, which is like for, you have to be super duper clean, super duper. Right. You can't even talk about divorce, you know?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like.
Happy, healthy relationship only.
Yeah.
I'll never do Dry Bar then. I emailed them like a couple of nights ago. This is okay. I will not get a response. That's okay.
Yeah, it's very clean. But I was just thinking, like, those jokes, you know, it was a lot of jokes that I tell, but I took out like pussy and cursing and switched them around. And I'm like, well, I still want to tell those jokes, you know, and I'm still gonna.
Yeah. I think if they land on an album, it's a different version of it. You know what I mean?
Well, and I think Dry Bar is so clean that it's almost like you can have a Dry Bar special and then a special, and it's not even close to the same thing.
And it's the same thing.
You know, I think Renard was talking about that, or I forget who it was, but yeah. So it's good. It's good. Jump back into it. So you're doing open mics in Chicago, and then you wake up and you did Dry Bar. Now, so what? So how did you end up from? Like, how long were you in Chicago before you came to sort of coming down to Nashville? Because I know there was some like gaps, right? Because you were going back and forth for a while.
Yeah, so I lived in Chicago for 8 years. When I first moved there, I did Second City Conservatory. Like I was doing all improv.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah. And then got into stand up. I probably did yeah. I was doing stand up there for like 4 years,
You
4 or
just
5 years.
puke on the podcast.
I'm on my period. Sorry. I think I was doing stand up in Chicago for 5-ish years because I just moved to Nashville like not even a year ago.
Right.
Yeah.
But I guess I've
Um,
always associated you with being in Nashville because I think
yeah,
the one time I was here, like visiting to check out Nashville, I think that's when we met in person, right?
Yeah, both were checking out Nashville.
I don't know. Or you were here. I don't really remember. Everything's a blur.
I don't.
I know you were visiting around the same time, and I either just moved here or it was the time in November when I was visiting to see if I wanted to move here.
I
And
think
saw
you had moved here.
Okay, so it was
Yeah.
Comedy Bar. I know we met at Comedy Bar because it was like,
Mm.
hey, we're not on a TV screen, we're not on a computer screen.
Oh shit! Comedy Bar, R.I.P. Nashville
Yeah.
location.
Yep. All right, so you're doing your 4 or 5 years in and doing it in Chicago, and so yeah, what made you want to come down here?
Yeah, so I came. It was a lot of reasons, but comedy wise, I came down, did New Material Mondays at Zany's, which is like the dopest show.
Right.
And Lucy was like, dude, you should move here. Like,
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good belch.
and I was like, okay. And you know, there were other things like it was the pandemic. I was traveling a lot anyway. I'm originally from Tennessee, so I was like, my family's here. So I was like, let's freaking do it. And it has been such a good move. Like I love
Yeah.
Chicago. I miss, some parts of the comedy scene aspect. Like there's more mics and stuff to hit a night,
Yeah.
But Nashville's so dope. I love Zanies. I love the local scene. I love the comics here. Like everyone is so super supportive of everyone. And someone said to me, they were like, "Oh, that's just because they talk behind people's backs." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not turning around, so they can keep doing it, I guess."
I think a lot of it's though is what I really like about Nashville is there is some trash talking, but that's anywhere, that's any job, whatever. I think what's great about Nashville is how competitive it is, and everyone keeps pushing each other a little bit, and sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's negative, but I think overall it's going to help the scene grow and expand and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man, and like for the size of the local scene, I think it pays really well too, which is so important.
It really does.
Yeah, I'm used to not making any money doing weekday shows.
Yeah.
So this is nice.
Like the first time I got paid for New Material Monday, I was like, what? We're even getting paid? Like just that alone, I was excited. But then when I actually got the check, I was like, this is better than like some headlining gigs. Yeah.
It's insane to me. Like I'll go up to Chicago a good bit because it's only, a short drive. And the last time I was up there, someone reached out to me and was like, oh, like I've got the show, blah, 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 and it doesn't pay. But they were charging tickets like $10. Yeah. I'm like, bro, you're for real gonna just charge tickets and not pay the comics? That doesn't, come on now.
I know we run into like a little bit of problem with, hey, it's a comedy show, and that I don't charge comics to come watch the show. And so the last few times, like we've had an audience, but it's been a lot of comics that wanted to watch someone that was traveling. So whatever money we made from the bar, I just had to give it to the traveling comic and then pay out of pocket. And I was,
it's rough.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I'm out of money.
Yeah, it's but producing is so hard.
Yeah.
And I think like if you put that up front, of like, hey, I'm gonna give you a tip jar, or I'm gonna give you like $10 max, and we'll see what happens after that. Just be upfront about it, like don't make artists have to ask. That's my opinion.
I know. And I think the guilt of like being a performer and then doing producing later on, I'm like, oh, well, I know what it feels like. So I know I don't have any money, but here's the money,
Yeah.
Let's backtrack just a little bit though and go back to Chicago. How was those first few months? How was just starting out and kind of getting your feet underneath you?
It was interesting because I have always been a performer. I've always been the funny one in the group. Like I used to charge my family a quarter to come watch me in their own living room. Like
Oh my
somewhere
God.
Business minded from the get-go.
right. So I was used to like being funny, and then you get on stage and you have to relearn how to be yourself all over again. You know, it's like
that's so weird.
It's so strange. It's so strange. I'm like, what is happening? So it was kind of like a shock, but luckily, like there were good people in the scene who encouraged me. Like I remember running out of a mic once and just being like, fucking bombed, you know, just like so sad. And a guy who was like above me came out and was like, hey, like this stuff happens. Comedy's hard. Like, do not give up, okay? And he didn't even like ask for my number or ask to fuck. He was like just being genuine.
You
know, like
isn't that nice?
What's this guy doing? That's part of the code.
He was like, come over to my basement. I'll teach you how to write a joke. No, he was
come to my bedroom and hang out for a bit.
Yeah,
cool.
You want to watch a movie?
Oh shit.
But it was just that kind of attitude that, you know, kept me going, and my own attitude, because people can talk all day about keep going, but you have to believe in yourself.
You gotta do
oh
it.
my God. Now that's the toughest part, is just and there's so many young comics here that like they'll bomb and they're like beside themselves. And I watch it and I'm like, oh, I probably used to be like that when I was younger. I just am jaded and hardened on the inside now. So when you bomb, you're just like, well, I have to be back tomorrow. So bomb then too, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. New day. But yeah, you can just really just beat yourself up.
It's true, man. It's rough. I like not went to therapy for that, but it was a big part of my therapy of like learning how to reassure myself and not ask for reassurance from anyone else.
Oh,
yeah,
I like it.
Ooh, I need to get on this.
Yeah.
It's called therapy, you said?
Yeah. And it's not free.
Let me write that. Oh, okay. Never mind. I'll just.
A lot of money.
They do take drink tickets though.
Oh,
Oh.
got so many of those.
Those fly out of my pocket so quickly.
What do you spend more easily, drink tickets or money?
Cash.
I remember hanging out with Will. We did this show in Kentucky and we made money. And this dude is buying everything from this brewery we're at. I'm
my God.
What are you doing? Like he's going home with like a giant jug of whatever they're serving, like a t-shirt, a hat, a bumper sticker. Like he's like, what? They seem nice. I'm like,
it's like tough times. I always try and support a small business, even though
you're a small business.
As a small business, yeah, I need to I'm getting better. I'm getting better about it.
Better about it.
I just think people see you coming, they're like, cha-ching.
It's like in Dumb and Dumber where he's like, this is the last of our dough.
That's really like how I operate. Or I'm like, oh, there's $30 extra in the bank account. Guess I'm supporting this brewery.
Supporting this brewery. They're gonna be fine.
I don't know. I think Lakeside Lounge needs me. You know, I think one of the most popular bars in Nashville is like, you know what? Good for that guy. Yeah. Supports week in and week out. 3 days a week.
Oh. Well, Amber, do you remember your first like big show where someone like booked you? Like, do you remember how that happened?
Yeah, I remember my very first show. Fuck, what was it called?
Remember it like it was yesterday.
Good start.
It was something like This Is Theater. It was like this girl who did fight choreography and burlesque and theater with me was like, I'm holding this big like fundraiser show. It's going to be a lot of different artists, and you said you went to a mic. Do you want to do? Do you want to do?
Said
Do you
you're
want
a
to do
comedian,
stand up? Yeah. And so I was like, yes, I will do that. And it was so lit. It was so much fun. Packed out house at this cool theater in Chicago, and a bunch of queer people in the audience, which, let me just tell you, a queer audience,
so supportive.
it's like
So
no
supportive.
other, dog. It is
Yeah.
like no other.
Yeah,
I
me and Will are
love-
doing a Pride Festival
Yep.
in the next few weekends, and I am pumped.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, where?
Clarksville.
Clarksville.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't know it was a Pride event, so when Drew told me, I was like, "You have no, I'm going home. Like, this is gonna be a blast.
Oh, that's
Not-
so dope.
Going home metaphorically, not going home physically."
Oh, okay. I thought you were like, I'm out.
Yeah, I asked him to do the festival. And he's
okay.
like, queer festival. No,
Yeah,
going
no,
to mom. We got to read our
think I-
Bibles.
yeah. No,
Well, that's gonna be fun.
I was ecstatic. I love it. I love doing a drag show. Oh,
dude.
those are
We all
always a
got to get
blast.
together, go to drag brunch soon.
I'll
Oh,
do that.
drag
Get a
brunch
big-
is
get a bunch of
absolutely
na-
insane.
Comics together and go to drag brunch. Get day drunk, you know.
Oh.
Little froze, huh?
Get a little Drew shimmy.
Yeah, that's day drunk Drew right there. You
So
ever
I
see me
imagine-
getting the shoulders going? I'm a little day drunk, you know.
Yeah, you get a little twinkle in your eye.
Yeah.
So I imagine that was like after that show, you were like, "Oh, I'm hooked."
Dude, after my first mic, I was hooked.
Yeah,
I was like,
fair.
this is it. Because,
Yeah.
I mentioned like I had done Second City, went through the whole conservatory, and I was like, this just isn't it. And I don't, because I moved since I was little. I was like, I'm going to Chicago. I'd never been, but I was like, that's where I need to
That's where I
be.
need to be. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I went, did that, and I was like, I'm not feeling this. And so when I found stand up, I was like, oh, this is it, dude. Like I have control over everything. I'm responsible for what happens. It was just clit litty.
Say that again.
Litty clitty. Clit litty.
All right, well, that's cool. So what were the spots we're hitting?
Cletaff is fun.
Oh, there we go. You can take that. You can take that. You can take all my merch. You can
That's what I
put
was
something
saying.
on
No,
it.
that's different. Clit lit is different.
I know, but I want a countdown on our future podcast of how many shirts you have left. Like just in the corner
Oh, of these shirts?
of the Lataff. Lataff is fun.
Yeah, I'm just giving them away at this point. People at work will be like, "Can I have one?" I'm like, I mean, it's an extra small. Where am I gonna? I sold an extra small to a baby.
How did that baby have money?
Hey,
Future
listen,
college account, you know.
yeah, that was in Hagerstown. That's why I go back to Hagerstown, because babies will buy my merch.
Babies have
Babies are
money.
rich there.
Is that is right when you cross over by Hagerstown? Babies have money here.
Babies have money here. Get out, Will Abeles. Yeah.
Can you imagine how much fun to party with a baby who has money would be?
And
They just
is
wouldn't be
like
able to tell you
aware,
anything.
you know, like yeah.
Yeah, like, oh, you got this round.
You'd both be out looking for titties, like that shit.
Oh, nice.
Titty party.
So sorry, just for the timeline. So Dry Bar was fairly recently, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And because you've been just doing, I feel like the last year you've just been hustling.
Walk
everywhere.
us through a little more of
Yeah.
like your Chicago career. Like how did you build off of that first show in Chicago and kind of go from there?
Yeah, so like in Chicago, there's tons of mics. Like you can hit 7 mics a night if you want to, and I was hitting at least one a night, if not 3 to 4, which means I was like out there getting seen. I was getting better, and I was doing pretty good. I started producing my own stuff because that's a big thing when you're like, well, I want more shows and my own thing going on. So I was producing. And right before I left Chicago, things were good. Like my name was getting more circulated and everything. But okay, hold on. the pandemic hit, right before the pandemic hit, I was like, I'm gonna go full-time comedy. It's happening. I can't serve anymore. It makes me hate people. I can't do this.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah, that's where I was at. Yeah.
it's terrible. I don't want to hate anybody. So then the pandemic hit, and I was like, okay, I'm not giving up on this. So how do I do this? And so I went hard into virtual comedy, which allowed me to meet people all over and get better. Like, I really gained more confidence.
Really had to work on some of those online shows.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And when you did well, you felt it. Like, you could see your, like, I know that's, I mean, it was just different than live, obviously, but it wasn't an easy medium at all. So when you saw people laughing, you were like, okay, that means this is pretty good.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because I, did that year virtually and then came out of it, and people were like, wow, like, you've really just popped, you've really grown a lot. Like, but these would be the same people who were like, virtual comedy is not real comedy. I'm like, okay, well, it really helps, So yeah, my name was getting up there in the Chicago scene, but I still wasn't getting booked at, Laugh Factory or Zanies a lot. I just wasn't getting used. And then when I came to Nashville, that is when, and I've heard other comics say this before, when you leave your city of starting, once you go back, they're like, hey, you're back. Yeah. And that's kind of how it is now. I can go up there and get a lot of shows. Right.
But it's a little more enjoyable in that way. Like, it doesn't feel like a grind. Like, you're going back.
You get to get the benefits of being a local and out of town comic at the same time.
Yes.
That's so nice. I love it.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm trying to do that with New York, and it doesn't feel as welcoming
because New York doesn't care. New York and LA are the two places that they do not care.
Yeah, but they all come down here, so
everyone's out of town.
That's been kind of nice.
Right.
I've been seeing my friends through Nashville, which I prefer. Financially, I prefer them coming here.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and showing them our scene.
Those college town prices of New York City, they say.
Yeah.
Do you guys you have a lot of hope for Nashville comedy? Where do you hope it goes?
I think it can peak like Denver did a couple of years ago and Atlanta did a couple of years ago. I think we could be in that kind of, get a little glimpse of the national spotlight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think because I know Atlanta's still struggling to get back to where they were pre-pandemic, and I think there's
definitely a fall off. You can't peak and then stay. Like Denver, even.
Yeah.
Everyone loves going to Denver, but it doesn't have the spotlight that it had 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
Denver is dope.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm going back in August, and I cannot wait.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. But I think, and not just necessarily Nashville specifically, but a lot of scenes are trying to pop back up. I think organization's so key. And I think with everything kind of reopening in 2021, officially reopening in 2021, there was just no organization. So it was just all right, go grab that show, go grab this, someone go get that mic. Then the mic would fail. And then it was okay, well, we lost a Sunday mic, but we got a Monday mic back. And I think now that everything's sort of settled, we sort of know where we're at. There are certain people like Kaylee, like Kaylee and MK. I think they're both stepping up and they're like, okay, let's get everything organized. And once that's established, we can just keep growing and growing. And I think the scene's going to be in I don't have a timeline for it, 2 years maybe, but I think it's going to be massive. I think we're going to see this huge boom here in Nashville as long as things just keep growing.
I know people keep messaging me and being like, hey, I'm moving out there. I'm like, oh shit, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's almost probably once a month I get another comic from New York or other ones. It's just hey man, can you point me in the direction? And I'm like, yeah man, but just there's not that many mics yet, there's not that many shows yet, but it's getting there. Definitely.
I know I have thought about starting a mic, but I'm not gonna do it for free. Megan Thee Stallion says, I don't do shit for the free, bitch.
Yep. Also a huge fan of the podcast.
Words to live by.
You gotta add the bitch or it's not, she didn't say it.
Yeah. I think getting a second club would be huge.
Yeah, dude.
A second club and
Kaylee,
really have, because
Kaylee.
I know. Well, she's got she's got a lot going on. She's got a lot, and I know she's got some stuff in the works. But yeah, I think the independent scene is growing really quickly, and that's good. That's always great for a scene.
Yeah, and it feels good to like be kind of not at the start of it, but at this moment in time. So we're gonna be like, oh man, it used to be like this.
Yeah.
Wow.
I always laugh with some of the old heads like Mark and Nunz, and laughing like when I talk to them and like just what the way they describe Nashville comedy versus what it is now. It's always funny. Yeah. Mark made the song on our podcast, so I felt like I used.
I love that
could
song.
Yeah, that was Mark. Shout out Mark and Nunson.
Very funny man.
Oh,
Yeah.
love him.
So you're in Chicago. You're trying to get that next step. You get to Nashville. The pandemic hits. Oh, sorry, pandemic hits. Then you get to Nashville, and you're doing Zoom
Crush the
all
virtual
year.
stuff on during the pandemic.
Yeah. I knew you did a ton of stuff on TikTok, right? Was that where you kind of picked that up? Was just like, okay, I'm here. Let's see what I can do with this as well.
Yeah, during the pandemic is when I started making reels and not really TikTok. TikTok's like kind of new, but now I'm definitely on it. Yeah, reels were during the pandemic, and it made Instagram so much more fun, dude. Like actually leaning in and creating on that platform just makes it so much more fun. But it can be a fucking lot. I try to post at least one reel a day, if not two, and it's a lot.
You're one of the first people to come up on my feed.
About it.
Yeah. And I see your post almost every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I'll do like one reel a month and feel good about it. And then I like watch Amber and I'm like, I need to get my life together.
No, it's a lot of work, dude. It's a lot of work. It really is. But it's fun. And I think, well, I know the more that I posted, the less I'm like, oh, is this funny? Is this a good idea? I'm like, fuck it. I'll make one in an hour and it'll be buried. So whatever, you know?
Yeah, it's good repetition. Does it ever go to a point where someone comes up to you like at Zany's or something? They go, oh, I follow you on Instagram. I love your stuff. Like, do they cross over?
1,000%. Yes.
Oh, awesome.
I get, thankfully, and I'm so grateful for this because of the work I put in, I get a lot of messages of like people who have been going through some really personal shit. Like I just got a phone call the other day that was like, I've been going through the worst time in my life and your videos really helped me. And I'm like, oh my God, like,
oh, that's awesome.
My shit about being in middle school, like pulled you through. That's wonderful, you know, or like my period stuff. Like it's really dope, man. It's like and this sounds cheesy, but if you're just like making one person's day better, even if you get 3 likes on a video, that's helping karma. That's helping the world, you know? So
yeah,
it's all worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely used to have that mentality a little bit more earlier on, but I'm glad you're keeping it going because we need more positivity.
Are you okay?
Oh, don't ask that question if you don't have time. Don't you do it?
Turn it off. Turn the cameras off.
Yeah, like Amber, you're gonna take it from here. I'll see you. You guys take it.
That's great. So how did Dry Bar come about? Was that from Zoom or was that from getting back live? And
it was
a little both.
Well, I think it was during the pandemic. I was like, or like when the pandemic was easing off, I was like, I really want to do colleges. And I had been doing like Zoom corporate shows. So like I knew I could do clean. I'm like, let me reach out to some, and I had no idea what the criteria was. I was like, I'm just going to reach out to college bookers, Googled college bookers, sent a bunch of emails out. And one of them wrote back to me and was like, you're not ready for colleges, but do you want to do Dry Bar? And I was like, yeah. Yeah.
No, I want the colleges. No.
Yeah. And it's like, I am a total believer in like manifestation. What you think about is what you see, you know, and I had been wanting to do Dry Bar for a while because my family, they're not like conservative, but they live in a small town. So they know about Dry Bar and they're like, it's kind of like the SNL thing. They were like, why don't you do Dry Bar? And it's like, Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to send
So-
an email, that'd be great. You know?
Yeah. Well, that is how it happened.
All right, so you're telling me we do a little scouting on Google, get that Lauren guy's email, and just
shoot him.
saying, I know Pete's leaving.
Yeah.
You got to shoot for something else completely though, and then he'll offer it. You got to be like, "Hey, man, I want you to produce a movie." He's like, "No, you're not ready for movies." But have you thought about SNL?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So I said yes and was like, took a road trip out there, which was like the most beautiful drive I've ever taken.
for those that
Out to
don't know, it's
Provo.
Utah. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was awesome. It was just a bunch of, Mormons. Like, there's no alcohol. So they were just like grown adults eating popcorn, looking at you. And you're like, amazing.
Who else did you
what?
record with?
Ryan Irwin,
Oh.
who's super dope. And then I'm sorry to this guy, but he's like an older guy and I can't remember what his name is.
So ageist.
I know.
You're
We'll
like,
get her
he's
canceled
gonna
by the end of
die
this
soon.
podcast.
You know what? You know what's crazy? I've never told this,
Ooh.
but someone told me that I should start telling it because it makes
Yes.
me seem real.
Real. I love it. Drop it here. Debut. Exclusive.
So for the dry bar, you do 25, you do 2 sets of 25 minutes. And it's super clean. Like I said, no like divorce, no anything, no shenanigans of any kind will be mentioned. And so I was like really nervous, and I'm
Do you
like,
have
okay.
to submit to them everything you're going to talk about?
No, but they're like, if you
Okay.
have a question about something, let us know. But I like had my set perfectly planned. So, this is my first thing being on film. I'm like super nervous because I'm not naturally a clean comic. That's not usually what I do.
Yeah.
And so I've got like this set, right? So the first set that's supposed to be 25 minutes, I do 10 minutes
Oh.
and I get off the stage. I say bye-bye.
Why?
And dude, it was okay. So like I had my set, like taped. Everybody gets their set like taped to the speaker and stuff. So I had my jokes. I guess I just went through them faster than I had imagined. And I panicked, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I can hear you.
right? It's being taped. Like, it's not like I can really go to any other of my jokes just off the cuff because I'm like, no, I plan these jokes. These don't,
Yeah.
I don't say pussy in these jokes. Like,
Right.
So I get off the stage and I'm like beside myself, dude. I'm like crying. I'm like so embarrassed, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, dude, you're good. You're good. Just like, try not to do that on the second one. And I'm like, cool. So I like call Alex, my boyfriend, and I'm like, fuckity fuck. And he's like, he was so dope because he was like, yo, what if you take this joke and you rearrange that, take out that? And I'm like, cool. So I'm like doing all these, blah, 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 blah. And then the next set, I go like, I don't go over, but I could have. Like, I do
Great.
25 and it was awesome. And they were like, where the did you pull those jokes from? Like, did you just go write a bunch of jokes? And it was a hard experience, but it was also a dope one because I realized that like I can pull myself out of things and I can come back from things and I can trust myself, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
you can go through
So many
something
people would
hard.
have fallen apart, like completely fallen apart.
Like they'll think that's the one moment. I knew a lot of guys back in New York who like they would bomb JFL and just couldn't get out of their heads about it. And I would, I was like, I've never even auditioned for JFL. Think about that, man. I mean, there's so many people that haven't, and like they just now, and I'm seeing them now, literally like 6 or 7 years later, finally getting their heads right and being like, okay, I got this. I can be better, But that's so great that you were able to do that like immediately,
Yeah. It was. I was proud of myself. It was hard at the time, you know.
Sure.
I can
But now
imagine.
looking back, I'm like, okay.
And you probably almost impressed the dry bar people even more. You
Oh
know,
my
like
God.
digging a hole and coming out of it. You know.
Yes, they were like, we got to have you back. I'm like,
Give me a minute, okay?
yeah.
After the first set, they were like all got in the meeting. They were like, "What are we doing? Like, do we even let her get the second one?" And then afterwards, they were like, "We need her back every year."
I was like one of the only there you walk in and there's so many headshots and it's so many old white men,
Mm.
which isn't a problem, you know, but it is like
It
weird
is,
to
it's fine.
see.
It's fine.
It's just weird to see.
Strike two on old white guys. I don't know.
Listen, I'm saying the stuff that no one else is, okay?
Ooh, getting controversial.
Old white men don't like it.
No, thank you.
Oh, so brave. I mean,
You two
What'd
should
they
both
ever
get
do to
old.
you, huh?
I don't know. You got to say it now because you know Elon's going to kick that stuff off Twitter. You know?
Nah, he's getting like death threats now. He's probably not going to buy it, right?
Oh, I don't know.
Hasn't
I
been
really
the
try and
Illuminati's
Death
coming after him.
threats?
You know, I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know. I try and
God.
just block out all of it because I'm like, we're all going to be dead in 10 years. The world's on fire. Like, let's go
Will, are
try.
you okay?
I'm telling you, be prepared when you ask that question.
Oh my God.
I had a rough couple of days. I'll be honest. I had a rough couple of days.
Hmm.
So, of course, we decided to interview the most positive person in our scene. And then I'm going to go straight from here to an open
Your
mic.
subconscious did this to you.
Yes, definitely.
Your subconscious made you schedule this, Will.
I was like, I
Cheer
need some
yourself
amber
up.
time.
Will, let me hear you say you love yourself.
Oh, don't you dare. No, I love
Have a
myself.
breakthrough over
Sometimes
here.
I think I might love myself a little too much. It's not about me loving myself. It's not about me loving myself. It's about someone else loving me.
Oh,
I'm
damn.
just. It is name it now. List 15 people.
Nice.
All right. Well,
I just
So
want to
what
make
if-
sure this positive train just came to a halting stop.
No, you got to actually. I wanted to talk about this before we get into any more emotions or anything over here. You got to feature for one of my favorite comedians this past weekend at Zany's. So please tell us about that.
Mateo Lane,
Yeah,
dude,
Oh, I didn't know you're a Mateo Lane fan.
big Mateo. He is hilarious.
Yeah, he's very funny.
hilarious, dude, hilarious.
Like he could read the newspaper, and I think I would be in tears.
Yeah.
Yes, I always love performing at Zany's. I always feel at home there and like good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But this past weekend, featuring for him was, I felt like I was floating on a rainbow cloud of sunshine, ices.
Oh,
Hell
It
yeah.
was just like, I felt comfortable. I felt creative. I felt accepted. And the crowd was just like,
I was about to say, what is his fans have got to be amazing.
yeah.
oh, they're so good. They just like, it was the first time I had said that I've had an abortion on stage. Like I've been like, oh, I want to write some abortion jokes, you know. But with this crowd, I was just like, I don't have kids. Well, I used to, but I took care of it. And they were like, yeah, like it was just like, I was like, this is the best. It was just the best audience. And then like it really gave me a confidence and a love that I'm like still riding on. And then to watch Mateo crush for an entire hour every show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was so conversationalist. Like he was like, should I call my friend? Like it was, I related
He makes it look
to
so just seamless.
Yeah. He was amazing, dude. And so nice. Such a kind person.
Oh, that's awesome. So good. To
It was great.
Yeah, he's a very fun person to watch. And I feel like he blew up really quickly too. Or I might be wrong about that.
Well, they were doing that this week at the Cellar show on Comedy
Yeah.
Central and getting a lot of people spotlights that were fantastic and huge staples in the New York scene, but you know, maybe some people hadn't seen him yet. And I
Yeah.
feel like he was on every episode. And I think you
Mm.
got to think that did something for.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah, because he's naturally just so funny.
He really is, man. He really is.
I want him to have a talk show at some point. Like I don't watch talk shows. I would watch that talk show.
He has a podcast.
I'll have to check it out. Amber, it does look like you're just checking things off your list here in Nashville. What you got your sights set on for the rest of 2022?
Yeah, I would love. Right now, I'm focusing on.
What?
No, right now I'm focusing on just like being more in the moment and writing new jokes, but not like beating myself in the face when they're not coming, just being in the moment. And I want a special. I'm going to get a special where I can be my complete self. I filmed 2 things now, which were so great. The Dry Bar and the Circle TV, but they were both clean.
Right.
And so I'm on that path, that journey of getting a special where I can just be my complete self.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
I'm hoping I got fingers crossed for after the summer for an Amber, Autry, and friends at Zany's. I'm looking for that. Want that to happen.
I'm looking for it.
Same.
And then I'm going to send you this clip when I'm not on it.
If only he was joking.
Are you asking for booking before the show even gets here?
Yeah.
I'm just this is my manifestation.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm putting this out there
That's
now.
bold.
No, but
Some
I think that would
bold
be great. I think it'd be good for the scene. Yeah, I don't know. I think you're kind of at that point too.
I agree, and thank you.
Yeah. See, I can be
concur.
positive. Yeah. So Amber, what do you got coming up that we can look forward to seeing you on?
Yeah, so my Dry Bar is still not come out. It's supposed to come out this year. So if you're listening to this and you don't follow me on all the socials.
Yep.
At Amber Autry Comedy on literally everything. And
You will not be disappointed.
Thank you, Drew. I put a lot of work into putting different content on all platforms.
Have been loving the sketches with you and Alice.
Oh yeah, those have been so much fun.
Oh, thank you. Oh yeah.
Great idea to bring y'all together. That was amazing.
Thank you. They're so smart and so funny and good friends. Yeah.
It's fun to make sketches with a group,
Right?
Yeah, it is.
It really is. I love sketch comedy, dude.
Yeah. Remind us the name of the sketch group?
It's Betcha Sketch, like Etch a Sketch, but with a B at the top. Yeah, we're on Instagram and YouTube. And that's with Allison Summers and Ritu Tirthani, 2 amazing comedians.
They're both great.
Funny. Yeah, and also I just put a lot of work into my website that has my dates on it. So if you want to go sign up for the newsletter that will send out the dates, I'm telling you, dude, I'm a coder, I'm a designer, I'm a second comedian, I'm a mother. I'm not a mother, but that's a Nicki Minaj quote.
I knew where you were going with
it. Okay.
I didn't.
So uncultured.
That's great. So, and what's the website? Also amberautrycomedy.com?
Yes.
Excellent.
So smart. I regret not syncing everything up.
I think
got
you
a different
can.
Instagram name and different. I got.
Hey, your Twitter's confusing. It's hard to find you on Twitter.
I've already sent it to the Instagram, man. It's done. It's on the card. They're out there.
Oh fuck!
It's a done deal. It's a done deal.
Well, what's your Instagram?
Laugh with Harrison.
Oh, okay. I follow you. I was just like, that's not bad. It's not like it's like _ big schlong,
No, it's just weird when you're like, all right, Instagram is at Laugh with Harrison, TikTok is Drew Harrison Comedy, Twitter is Harrison_comedy. Check out my website, drewharrisoncomedy.com.
Yeah.
My Twitter is different. It's AA That's Good.
I think Twitter's where you have the fun with it. you know.
I love Twitter because I don't have a lot of followers, so I can just fuck around.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
great.
Yeah. I just use it for writing. Like if I'm really like in a rut with
Trimming the
writing,
fat. Yeah.
I'll try and just shoot out some tweets and trim it down. Exactly.
That's a
I've
great
done that
idea.
at an open mic before where I had nothing. I just pull up Twitter and I'm like,
I do love that feeling when I think I'm like, oh, this is a good, like, not that the tweet got any traction because no one follows me, and like it's like my mom and like my buddy Freddie
I
from
feel like
back
it's
in
so hard
Hagerstown.
to get a tweet to go to take.
Yeah, it's just insane.
Are
But
you supposed to put hashtags on tweets?
I think that's done.
Okay.
It has to be done. I think it's been done for years.
Okay.
But who knows? Because then they'll say trending on Twitter.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm pretty much deleting my Twitter because I just don't use it. And when I get on, I just get so stressed. And and I'm like supposed to be like
stressful a bit.
Yeah, and it's not even like I'm following stressful accounts. I'm just following comedians.
And you get stressed?
Oh, I get so stressed just from Twitter. I'm like, how did that's not even funny. How'd this work? I don't understand how this worked. And then I just get like bitter, and then
I get upset because people that I see are so fucking fun. I'm like, how did you think of that? Did you murder an angel like a deal with the devil?
Who's writing this for you?
Yeah, there's some people that's like, and they're not getting the traction. So I'm like, well, I want that one to have the traction, not this one that's garbage. And then I get all worked up and I get super mad about it. And then I open up Zoom and we interview Amber Autry.
I think you need to masturbate more.
Listen, you don't even know the half of it.
We're gonna drop a number to a phone bank. If you could call and donate, we're gonna get Will in some therapy by the end of the week. But it's for a mere price of a cup of coffee. You know?
Is there like a comedian therapist in Nashville like there is in New York? No, not saying like a therapist that's a comedian. Like there's like one therapist that like half the scene goes to. Yeah.
Wow. Really?
And I forget if it might have been Sam Morril. I forget who said it, but they passed another comic. Like, so he was like waiting in the waiting room for the comic to finish their session, and he heard the comic make the therapist laugh. And so then he felt like he had to try and make his therapist laugh, and he bombed at his therapist. I think it was Sam Morril, but I just love that concept of all of us just lining up and just
no.
That's the Nashville I hope to live in.
I mean, good luck getting all of us to go to therapy, let alone the same therapist.
I'll get them. I'll get some people.
I'll get them.
Never. I get drunk and cry to music videos on Friday nights like my ancestors before me. Okay.
That's woof.
All right. Well, this took a weird turn. Amber, thank you so much for telling us.
Yeah, thanks, Amber.
Your story, your journey. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. This was fun, you guys.
Yeah,
and it's nice to hear someone that started out positive and optimistic is continuing to do so, and that hopefully their energy will radiate.
Whenever you're having a rough day, I'm gonna get one of those get along shirts. You know, you see when the two siblings aren't getting along, you put them in the same shirt. Whenever you're having a bad day, Will, I'm gonna put you in a get along shirt with Amber and just have her positivity come over you like osmosis.
I do want to say real quick, that's fucking hilarious. My sister and I were in those ones. I do want to say though, for real, like that I am a positive person and I do believe in myself and love myself. It also takes work every single day. It's not like I was just born, you know, because just for anybody listening who's like, fuck, I want to die. Like, I'm just not happy. Sometimes I'm not happy either. You know what I'm saying? Like, it really takes work. And sometimes work is just doing nothing and sitting with yourself, sitting in your feelings or meditating or getting your ass up. But like, and getting your ass up and working. But like,
see, bringing it back full circle. That was good. That was good. You told us.
Well, I agree with you. I also just love the idea that somebody was like, oh man, I'm having a bad day. Wonder what Will and Drew are up to today. Let's throw on the podcast.
I know who'll make me feel better. Will saying that he hates his life.
Can't be as bad as that guy. Can't be as upset as him. I really hope we get a comment on this episode. Like, no, for real. Will's
Has anyone called Will after this episode?
pessimistic demeanor has gotten me through many times.
Can we? Someone's just listening. Like, man, can we talk about the buzzkill? Like, he was like, this is emotionally this episode. It was everywhere. You just had two people at the opposite ends of the spectrum.
Like Drew and Amber would take off, and then Will would be like, "Fuck that! Where you go?"
It's like, no, get back here, get back here, get back.
Where you go?
Well, thanks so much for coming on, Amber. I'm sure we'll see you soon.
Can't
It's
wait
my
to share the
pleasure.
stage with you soon. Looks like you got a busy summer, so I'm excited for you. It's awesome.
Same. I look forward to sharing the stage with you guys too.
Yeah. Hit that subscribe button, guys. We will see you next time.
Sorry, this is the first time I've spoken out loud today.
That's okay.
You weren't grunting at the gym?
I was doing the but I had my headphones on, so it's probably like